One. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Comics and Pop. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon and Carlos Idarraga. And today we are going to talk about the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi out on Disney Plus. And I know we've been texting a little bit, messaging back and forth about it. I don't know what Troy's actions, but Carlos loved it. I liked it. Didn't love yet, but I liked it. But let's go thoughts. Troy, we'll start with you this week. Give me your thoughts, initial thoughts.
I'll tell you what it is. When I was like maybe 5 years old, we're in Jersey. I'm from Jersey. We're in Jersey. We're sitting there. And my mom's like, "Hey, this is dinner."
The souffle that you had when you were a kid.
This is a food reference.
All right.
I was like, "Hey, I'm making dinner. This is for your uncle. This is for you." So I sit there and I'm scratching my chin and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, well, she's making pork chops. I can clearly see they're pork chops. I don't want to wait for my pork chops. I'm going to eat one of his. I took the plate. I kind of looked over my shoulder and I snuck into the other room. I didn't even eat at the dinner table. I sat there. I took my knife and my fork. My grandfather saw me and he's like, "Hey, you're going to need some hot sauce." And I was like, that's an adult spice, but I'll try it. So I put a little hot sauce on it, I cut it up, and I stuck it in my mouth. It was not a pork chop. That was liver. That was my introduction to liver. It was so bad that I, to this day, thinking about liver makes my tongue feel like somebody's grinding dirt in it with their boot. That's what liver does to me. This show was the opposite. I actually liked the show. This show was the complete opposite of that experience. This show, I was expecting a great big plate of liver with onions. I don't like onions. With onions and gravy and all kinds of stuff on it that I don't like. Monkeys' livers or whatever. All of these horrible things. I was like, I got to watch it because I know we're going to want to talk about it. It's Star Wars. It's Disney. I got to check it out. But it's going to be painstaking. But I looked at it and I was like, it's really not so bad. It wasn't bad. I thought because it was Obi-Wan, they were going to just goof up Obi-Wan. I didn't really like how they did Boba Fett, and Boba Fett was a known guy. Mandalorian, not known. He was still the unknown. So anything they did with him would have been new and fresh and great. Building on such a massive character like Boba Fett, it's difficult because you got a lot of history you got to take care of. I was thinking Obi-Wan is even a bigger character. They're going to goof this up. But no, they took that ball and they ran with it. They didn't drive. I was waiting for a fumble. It wasn't really that bad.
I have to remember to eat dinner before we do our podcast from now on. So all the food references. Carlos, your initial thoughts.
So my initial thoughts, first of all, I'm like one of those people that love liver. I grew up eating liver, so like I've always like I remember we used to make liver for like breakfast with like onions and tomatoes and stuff with that. Oh my god, it's so good. But anyway, yeah, I'm one of those weird people. But since Troy always compares it to food, I compare it to dating, right? So to me, I'm obviously the biggest Star Wars fan here out of the three of us. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. There isn't to me many things that Star Wars has done wrong because they're my, to me the reason I hate Star Trek is because of Star Wars. That's how big of a Star Wars fan I am. It's like
we're about to argue in a second that there's things that Star Wars has not done wrong. I think Star Wars has done plenty wrong, but we'll get to my turn.
Right, no, absolutely right. But to me, as a Star Wars fan, they've done nothing. They're like my child. Like my kid could go out there and smack somebody in the face. I'd be like, oh, don't do that. But they're still my kid. I'm gonna love them. That's my Star Wars. Star Wars is my, people love Star Trek. I think Star Trek is horrible, but people love it. Star Wars is my universe show, right? So
you say Star Trek's bad again. I'm going to mute you when you.
So when it comes to Obi-Wan, it's. I really like the two episodes because it brings me back to my childhood, man. Like Star Wars, that was the first thing that I ever collected was the Star Wars action figures, and 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 the toys and the movies and everything about Star Wars. It just brings me back to my childhood. That's why I'm so attached to it. That's why before we was talking about Stranger Things, the reason I like that show Stranger Things so much is because it's set in the 80s and it reminds me of when I was growing up. So that's the reason why I enjoy Star Wars. So when I see a show like Obi-Wan, it brings me back to my childhood. So I guess if you're going to compare it to dating, it's like if Obi-Wan to me, it's like, like Jonathan, like, you meet a nice Jewish girl, reminds you of like, your heritage, and a Troy meeting a nice African-American girl, me meeting a nice Colombian girl, it kind of like that's what it's like. It's like, it makes me feel at home. That's what Obi-Wan did. So I'm going to kind of like replay to you, I guess, what happened in the first couple episodes. So in the first episode, right, we see basically it starts off with Order 66, which is, the order that the Emperor did, that he wanted to kill off all the Jedi. So he had all the Jedi killed off. So we see, in the first episode, you see all the stormtroopers are there, whatever, and they're shooting all the
why did you just act that the whole episode?
Exactly, all the Jedi, whatever. And then Yoda obviously was, he's the one who ran the show there and stuff. But so anyway, and then the main reason that they're killing off the Jedi, because obviously the dark side wants to take over, and they want to make sure that now that they got this guy on their side, Darth Vader, right? They want to make sure that their kids, his kids, don't grow up to be, whatever.
So that scene in the movie when they kiss down the brother.
Exactly, right. So his kids are given kind of like to this guy, the main character, Obi-Wan, right? Because his job is to protect them, to make sure that nothing happens to them, and the best way to protect them is to hide them, right? So he takes them, and he gives Luke to his family, to his uncle in Tatooine, and he gives Leia, she becomes, to the royal whatever, and she becomes, royalty, Princess Leia, obviously. So the show, it's kind of like when they're little. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like the connection of Mandalorian has with Baby Yoda, right? So it kind of like Obi-Wan's connection with Baby Leia, I guess, So he's going to be, Baby Leia is going to be like Obi-Wan's Baby Yoda, basically, kind of in the show.
We're going to have Baby Leia action figures?
Right, exactly, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cute because it's kind of a little bit of a twist, because you figure if anything, he would be watching over more Luke, right? But his job is to kind of like, maybe keep Luke kind of like in the down low, and maybe be and protect Leia more. So I thought that twist was kind of cool. But I mean, overall, I guess we'll go a little bit deeper into it, but I really, really enjoyed the show.
This has been Carlos Idarraga with Action Figure Theater.
Thank you.
I liked it. I liked it. First of all, I was expecting like Troy, I was expecting, a pile of dog crap. I was expecting it. So that may have been like, that. So I did like it. I think Ewan McGregor is really great in the role. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the episodes for the most part. I have a couple of things.
Did you guys hate Boba Fett that much?
I thought Boba Fett was okay. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was.
Why were you guys expecting it to be a pile of dog crap?
Because I read so many. I was not happy with like the overall series of Boba Fett, and I've not loved what they've done with the Star Wars movies, the recent Star Wars movies. But I did love The Mandalorian. I thought The Mandalorian was fantastic. But here we go. So in this one, I thought it was okay. I like I said, I love Ewan McGregor. I thought he's great in this. When two things now, Flea comes on. I can't take Flea seriously in any role that he's in. It's like he does the same way as he did in that Back to the Future movie. Like he's just like everything's like half joke, like reading it. So I was like, okay, but whatever, I'll take it. They're pushing now. I cannot stand the character Reva. I could not take her. It's one emotion. Everything was yelling. And just like Star Wars does the whole time, we have the rewriting of history. We have the Grand Inquisitor. We have Star Wars pushes now all these things. We're going to have Now the woman's going to be, doesn't matter how she is, she's going to be more powerful than anyone else there. She kills the Grand Inquisitor. Like, we all couldn't see that coming. And just like easily. And then when Kenobi takes off, it was like this cartoon. Kenobi takes off in the ship and she's like, I'll get you, shaking her fist at the ship.
And your little dog too.
And your little droid too. Yes. So I just could not take them. But again, it was better than I thought. I will definitely, interested in seeing it. I'm definitely going to watch the series. But there are so many things that just went against everything that we knew before, loved about the character. Now, now Kenobi's going through this existential crisis. So that bothered me too a little bit. But whatever. All right, let's go deeper into it. So Troy, let's go. Get deeper thoughts.
Well, I got to say this. I got to disagree with Reva. I really liked that character for two reasons. For one, she was no nonsense, and I kind of dig that. I didn't dislike Boba Fett. I just had different expectations. I expected him to be a murderer, just to show up, and every time somebody gave him the wrong look, he blasted him in the face. I thought it was going to be that kind. Because remember in the preview when they were talking about it, the first thing he did was he shot that dude that was sitting on the throne, and then he just kind of took his helmet off and was like, dun, 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 dun. And I was like, give me some of that.
Yes.
So Reva is doing that. She showed up, and she's like, so, we're looking for the Jedi. And that one woman's like, nuh-uh, I'm not going to tell you anything. She cuts her hand off. And
Yeah, again.
Like, I wasn't expecting that.
To the character.
I thought she was going to shake her fist at her, but she cut her hand off. And nobody
shake the other woman's fist at her.
Yeah, and two things. Nobody didn't run. I would have ran. If I was sitting there and this Jedi killer would have started cutting people up, I'd have been, and I'd have took off. Second, nobody tried to fight. Nobody tried to fight him. Nobody tried to run. They don't have a fight or flight reflex. And then it dawned on me, these aren't humans. This is a land far, far away, a long time ago. So they look humanoid, but they're not human. So the girl got her hand cut off there. I was like, yeah, wow, that sucks. Nobody ran, nobody fought. There was no fight or flight. But the second reason I like Reva is because my theory, and something I was hoping to see in one of the Star Wars iterations was, okay, you got Reva, R-E-V-A, right? The most powerful Jedi that has joined the Sith is Revan, R-E-V-A-N. It's a dude, but he was a Jedi, and then he became a Sith. If I'm not mistaken, he came back to the Jedi again. So he was like crazy powerful because he had like the Jedi Sith whole juggling the two of them. And they said that he was similar to Mace Windu, because Mace can use, the dark side to give himself that extra boost, like in Doctor Strange, how the Ancient One could use the dark dimension to give herself that extra boost. So I'm thinking I would love to see Revan because he was like snatching spaceships out of the sky. He was super powerful. I'd like to see an almost superhero-esque version of a Jedi. Now we had Princess Leia before she died, floating in space and flying in that last one, which that was too much for me. But I was like, okay, they're heading in that direction, but they got to go ahead and just pull the trigger, make a super powerful space wizard. So I'm thinking Reva, who was a Jedi, who was probably the only African-American kid that survived 66. She was there was a chick that ran away with him, and she was a black chick. So I'm like, it's got to be Reva. She grew up. She's mad at Obi. Obi didn't show up until everybody was dead. She wants revenge. She's mad. She joined the Sith. And the Sith said, "No, you're not going to be a Sith, man, because there can only be two of us. So we're going to make you an Inquisitor," which is basically still just a Sith. You just don't have that name. So now she's going after him. She wants revenge because she was hurt. It hurt her feelings before that he didn't come get her. Didn't pick her up from camp. Left her on the step. So she's mad about that. So she wants to get him, even though they told her, "Hey, man, no, Darth wants her himself," because she says in there that she knows Darth Vader's real name. She she's like, I know who he is and I know what he meant to you.
Which that part also just like, it's like, okay.
I'm thinking it's a buildup to her being a more powerful character than they, because like you said, she killed the Grand Inquisitor like that. And he's supposed to be able to feel, I can feel you're angry. I can, they feel that kind of stuff. I can feel you're having thoughts about French fries. They know all that stuff. And she was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm going to wait for it. And she turned around and stabbed him. You can't do that to a Jedi or a Sith. They know what's coming. They'll fight you and eventually you get a good hit in. But she just turned around and stabbed him. So I'm like, she's got to be more powerful than him, though they think she's not. So I'm thinking she is going to be the Disney's version of Revan, the guy, the good bad guy, except it's a chick now. So I'm hoping they might not do that, but hopefully, because we all know that other stations watch our shows and steal our ideas. We know that happens now. So hopefully Disney is watching and they're like, hey, that's a good idea. We should do that. So if they're not thinking it already, hopefully they're thinking it now, because I would like to see that character portrayed.
By the way, when Princess Leia went off into space, I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, really, so that movie just lost me with that one, that whole thing.
She was dead, and then she opens her eyes and starts floating, and I'm like,
"We're having cosmic Jedis now." Like, all right, go ahead, Carl. Tell me why everything is wrong.
Are you guys done Star Wars hating? So I can school you guys a little bit on Star Wars here. So actually, Troy was correct in a lot of the things that he said. In the beginning of the show, we saw that there was a little black girl that was running away, right? So when it comes to the Sith, obviously there can only be two. There's always a master and an apprentice. So you can only have a Sith Lord. The two of them, the master and the apprentice, right? So right now, before Darth Vader, he had what's his name, the black and red guy. Darth Maul.
Yeah,
Sidious Maul, whatever. Right, exactly. So now it's and
that character deserved better, by the way. Darth Maul,
right, exactly. So, but I mean, to be able to do what he did, obviously, the Emperor he had to turn some Jedi's over to the dark side, right? So the Grand Inquisitor was he was like a guard or something, and like one of the guards at the Jedi Temple or something. He before he became the Grand Inquisitor. But all these people, they're all former Jedi's who were like training to be Jedi's or part of that, who he turned to the dark side. So they all have power. These are all powerful people. If you notice in the show, when the Inquisitor's talking to Reva, he says, "You're not one of us," right? He's not one of us because all the Inquisitors that are there, they were Inquisitors before Order 66. And she was captured, obviously, and tortured and turned into an Inquisitor. So if she was captured and turned into an Inquisitor, obviously her hate for Obi-Wan is obvious because he didn't save her. But not only that, but she understands that if she wants to, be a Sith Lord and apprentice to Vader, maybe when the Emperor is gone, she's got to get on Vader's good side. So she's, by capturing Obi-Wan, she knows that she will get on his good side, obviously. But she didn't kill that dude. Grand Inquisitor is not dead. She stabbed him in the stomach. He's not dead. Trust me on that. There's no way that dude is dead. He's the guy. He's the most powerful of the Inquisitors. And, she's stabbing him in the stomach. He's not dead. So and I kind of agree with Troy that she's probably, since she was a Jedi originally, and she maybe once near the end when she speaks to Obi-Wan, maybe she'll turn back, and maybe help them, in the end, she'll be like an anti-hero or whatever, or so I'm thinking more of that route for her. But I mean, I like their character. I understood it. I understood why they did it. Her character is not in the previous shows, like the Rebel shows and the cartoons that they made. That's where the Inquisitors come from Hunting the Jedi. But she wasn't one. They created her just for this. So that's where Troy's talking about the Reva thing. Maybe that's their version of, instead of making, they made him a girl and it was Reva. So I definitely understand that. But I mean, so far, Flea, I'm gonna look at Fleas. He's Flea, so I don't take him seriously. He's the drug, whatever. He's the basis for for the Chili Peppers, and that's it. So as an actor, I don't really give him much. this is probably like a dream for him. He's probably a big Star Wars geek, and he was able to, to get the role and be part of Star Wars. His father, all these guys, all these famous people, they all have families, they have kids and stuff. So now, they want to be cool to their kids. So they all get parts in these movies and stuff, so they can be cool and stuff and kind of like relive their childhood as well too. So, but I mean, like I said, so far from what I've seen, I really, really like this show.
Like I said, that I liked, didn't love. I disagree with both of you so far. But is he happy?
Huh?
I just saw.
This is what everybody's looking for right here.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Again, I just thought the ludicrousness of the stabbing the Grand Inquisitor, and it's again, to me it was one note. It was like just one note all throughout, like yell. Well, we'll see the next couple of, but it was just like constant. It was like constantly just one emotion. To me, like the best villains are like nuanced and much scarier if it's like the silent, but I don't know. Like I said, I am willing to see it. I did enjoy the first two. I do want to see where this goes. If there's any redemption, what do we want to see? What are we looking for to see in the next few episodes before it ends? What do we want to see come from this episode, from the show? So Troy, go ahead.
I'd like an explanation as to how 66 even happened. I mean, if you've got one Jedi and you've got 20 stormtroopers, I put my folding money, all my green money on that Jedi, because he's going to dog walk all of those guys. Luke got on that starship and went through with the super destroyers or whatever the heck they're called, the giant robots. He killed all of them. They were terrified. Even the Mandalorians, like, oh, we're dead. And there's like 4 of them in there. And Luke just casually walked right through all of them and then just opened the door and was like, hey, what's up, guys? He wasn't tired. It didn't take a great effort from him or anything. That gives you an idea of the power of a Jedi. And these Jedi were training kids to be Jedi, so they had to know all of the ins and outs of swinging that cool saber around. And there were multiple Jedi there, and they all died. So I'm thinking, it blows my mind. I'm like, well, if one of them is crazy dangerous, and usually they only send 1 or 2, except for like Clone Wars, they sent like a bunch of them, but usually they only send 1 or 2 of those guys to deal with a problem. And there's a bunch of, this was their base basically, and a bunch of stormtroopers who shoot at Han Solo all the time and miss. Han Solo's not even a Jedi. He's not that scary to them.
Well, stormtroopers shoot everyone in this, don't they?
They shot everybody. They shot that one girl, I forget her name, the women and the kids. They shot her like 3 times in the chest. That was cool that she killed 2 more guys. That was kind of cool. But they still shot her to death. So I'm thinking, how? There were a bunch of Jedis there. It's like, to me, it would be like if all of our kids took karate and they were given honorary black belts, and then we took them to a bar and there was a street fight with a bunch of gang, motorcycle gang guys, and our kids just suddenly karate chopped all of the people to unconsciousness. I'd be like, that's kind of cool, but how'd that happen? It was a similar thing to me. There shouldn't be any way that a bunch of stormtroopers can kill a room full of Jedi.
It wasn't just a bunch of stormtroopers though. He had already flipped a lot of people over to the dark side, a lot of the Jedis over to the dark side. So, I'm sure that they were accompanied by people that were already, by Jedis who were already sympathetic to the Sith, like what's his name? The dude that what was the name? The guy with the beard and mustache, the guy that oh man, I always forget his name. The one that originally flipped, the main Jedi that flipped, played by that famous actor. Oh man, I can't think of his name.
Jedi that flipped?
Yeah. He was the one that was working with originally with he was like, I guess he was the first apprentice to the Emperor. Remember, he's the famous actor with the beard.
Yeah, that's Sidious.
Huh?
I said Sidious a second ago, but it was
Sidious,
wrong.
right,
Was
Sidious.
Darth Sidious.
Right,
Yeah.
Darth Sidious. Right. So Sidious had already flipped. He was, so I mean, so if they flipped him, I'm sure he already had for them to go to attack the Jedi. He already, there was already a Dark Order, so there was already, Inquisitors probably, that they already had people that, that already had that were ex Jedi's who were there to help. It wasn't just the stormtroopers by themselves, I would think, And when they didn't kill all the Jedi, they killed like most of the kids, but a lot of them escaped too. That's why, the whole thing is for them, hunting down all the Jedis. That's what the Inquisitors are for, because a lot of Jedis, obviously escaped. They jumped ship.
But that would be a cool thing if they showed that, a bunch of the Inquisitors fighting the Jedi. That would be kind of cool scene. But they just showed the stormtrooper shooting the kids and that chick. They blew an opportunity there. Because what you said in those 15 seconds was a lot cooler an idea to me than just a bunch of stormtroopers like, shoot the girl, shoot the kids. And the kids are like, we better run. And I'm like, the Jedi are dead and the kids just ran away? They just killed the Jedi. Did they just stop shooting and say, okay, now let the kids run? This will be cool. Watch them run. And what happened to the kids? I'm like, they just let them run away. It would be a lot cooler to see like the evil Jedi. That actually would kind of be cool. So that would make sense.
Well, for me, I just want to see at the end, the reasoning why Kenobi stays away from Luke Skywalker, what rationale he has, and what he's staying on that planet, but why he's going to stay away from him until much, much older. So, because
I think the reason that he's doing that is because obviously Darth Vader is powerful and he has a link to his son. Now that he knows that he's alive, he didn't even know that Vader was alive. He finds out in this episode that Darth Vader, Anakin
another thing that I was like, okay,
right. He didn't know that Anakin. So I'm thinking maybe in his mind, he knows that if he starts training and whatever, they can feel him, and then come to attack him. And
that's one of the things that they always talked about with Star Wars. His Luke Skywalker. He didn't change his name to like Luke Smith. His Luke Skywalker. All those years growing up, like, hey, I wonder if there's a connection. No one would report that back. So,
well, maybe in the future, Skywalker is like like
Jones and
name, like Jones or Johnson or whatever.
So, but that's what. So, what do we give? Do we want to rate the first two episodes now, or do we want to wait till the end of the series?
I think wait till the end. For me personally, I wait till the end of the series. To me, I really enjoyed both episodes. I like what they're going with it. I like the fact that they're introducing new characters. I like the fact that we're gonna we all know what happens with Luke Skywalker, but when we meet Princess Leia, it's more of like she's already a princess, but now we kind of like maybe get to see her as a little kid, and she obviously already had in Star Wars. She already had a relationship with Obi-Wan. Right. Because she's, the whole thing is for her to get the message to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So now we get to see how they built that relationship, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely enjoying that. Well, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you didn't like, why I'm right, why Carlos is wrong, and and your love of Star Trek. But let us know. Anyway, this has been Comics and Pop. I'm Jonathan, along with Troy and Carlos, and please subscribe.
Subscribe.